Hi, it's V from Movies Hunter, your pretentious, most favorite film expert, here to enlighten you about the 2014 drama mystery romance film, Flowers in the Attic. So, it's 1957, and this family, whose name I can't pronounce, is living their best life in Pennsylvania, just like every family in the 1950s. Picture Leave It to Beaver, but with a twist of sadness and depth. Chris, Kathy, and the twins, Carrie and Corey, are living the dream with their loving and caring parents, Christopher and Corinne. And by loving and caring, I mean he brings gifts home from work and gets promoted to VP. Clearly the man had it all figured out. But not so fast. Kathy, the party pooper of the family, is not happy about the promotion. That's okay though, because dear old dad has a solution for everything. He walks into Kathy's room with a ring. As if that will make all her problems disappear. And for a minute, it seemed like it worked because the family throws a party to celebrate the promotion. And then a car approaches. The family hides thinking it's Christopher coming home, but it's actually a police officer with some life-altering news. Christopher has died in a car crash. The family is left in complete shock, mourning the loss of their beloved father, but also with a heavy debt. So Corinne asks Kathy to send an email, and after 4 months of waiting, they finally got a reply. And what a reply it was. Now they are all packing their bags and heading to Virginia to live with Corinne's wealthy parents. Chris and Kathy are less than thrilled about this, but Corinne lays it out for them. They are in debt up to their eyeballs, and the bank is about to take everything, so they have no choice but to leave. And just when you thought this couldn't get any better, Corinne drops a bomb. Their last name isn't Dulanganger, it's Foxworth. And with that, they set off on their journey to the land of wealth and privilege. Now, when they arrive, Corinne's mother, Olivia, gives them a warm welcome. Or not, more like a cold shoulder and a quick trip up to the attic where they will be staying. Just like they're a royal family. And don't even think about opening the drapes or looking outside because God might see and Olivia will have a conniption fit. And so here they are, my friends, locked up in the attic like a bunch of prisoners, waiting for Corinne to subscribe to Movies Hunter and to win her father back. And just when they thought things couldn't get any worse, Olivia discovers the ring Christopher gave to Kathy and loses her mind. That's right, folks, she took the ring. So the next day, Olivia shows up with some food for the kiddos and lays down the law. She makes it crystal clear that no one can ever find out about their secret hideout at Foxwolf. The kids head up to the attic and start their months-long prison sentence. Kathy is trying to figure out why Olivia hates them so much, but Chris is all like, I have faith in Corinne, she got this. At night, Corinne swings by to check on the kids and make sure they're not dying of boredom. But then Olivia shows up like a real party pooper and orders Corinne to take off her shirt. And then she gives Corinne a good old-fashioned whipping, calling the kids the spawn of the devil. Kathy can't help but ask why Olivia hates them so much. And finally, the truth comes out. Corinne reveals that Christopher was her biological half-uncle and they eloped together. And that's why she was disowned by her dad. The days go by and Corinne's visits become fewer and far between. But ever the overbearing hostess, Olivia shows up every day with food and necessities for the kids. Here is some food, witches, eat. Kathy tries to strike up a conversation by telling Olivia that she is a ballet dancer and Chris is a painter. But in typical Olivia fashion, she rudely asks Kathy if Chris has ever asked her to pose for him naked. Well, a month has passed and dear old Corinne decides to grace the attic with her presence and some gifts for the kiddos. Kathy is over it and just wants to get out of this darn attic, see her grandpa and live a normal life. But Corinne drops a bombshell and informs them that her dear old dad has forgiven her on one condition. She didn't have any kids with Christopher. Wow. So basically, the children are stuck in the attic until Grandpa kicks the bucket. Kathy and Chris are okay with waiting, but the twins are getting restless and want to see their mama. It's now Christmas, and the kids are still cooped up in the attic. To show their gratitude for Granny bringing food every day, they decide to make her a picture. But when Olivia sees it, she doesn't say a word and walks away, trying to keep her emotions in check. Later on, Corinne visits with even more presents and tells them she's won back her dad and is now set to inherit everything. To celebrate, she is throwing a fancy party. Wow. Kathy is determined to go to the party, so Corinne tells them they can hide in a box and spy on the festivities because that seems like a good idea. And here's the real shocker though. Grandpa right here arrives at the party with a present for Corinne, and it seems the relationship was, well, let's just say it wasn't what mommy approved of. So Kathy and Chris are just trying to make their way back to the attic after the party when they stumble upon a little rendezvous between Corinne and Mr. Winslow, the family lawyer. Talk about a curveball. And as if that wasn't enough, they overhear that Corinne and Mr. Winslow have plans to start a new life without the kids when she inherits everything. Whew, can you believe it?
No.
Chris, being the curious one, decides to do a little snippy-doo and discovers that Corinne has been living the high life all this time while pretending to be a poor, lonely mother. And of course, Corinne catches Chris snooping around and slaps him. Punk! But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because now she is turning into a completely selfish woman who only cares about herself.
Wow.
The next day, she visits the kids and gives them the ultimatum: leave and lose all of the money, or stay and wait a little longer. The kids, being innocent and desperate for their mother's love, fall for it and choose to wait. Fast forward 1 year, and Kathy and Chris are entering puberty, with Chris starting to have feelings for women. And who pops in to give Kathy her first bra? None other than Corinne herself, the most beautiful, most bestest mother in the world.
Huh?
How sweet. But Chris walks in on Kathy trying on her new bra, and of course, Olivia catches them. So, as punishment, she threatens to starve them for a week if Chris doesn't cut off Kathy's hair himself. Can you believe it? These poor kids are stuck in a nightmare. But in a moment of bravery, Chris and Kathy refuse to follow Olivia's command and give the remaining food to the twins, hoping that their mother will come to save them soon. Later on, Olivia, the fairy godmother of the attic, visits the children and leaves a basket of food that's probably stale by now. But when Kathy wakes up, she realizes she's got tar in her hair, which is a real hair razor.
No.
So with no other options, Chris decides to take matters into his own hands and give Kathy a haircut. While cutting, Chris whispers in Kathy's ears,
Wow.
"You're beautiful, but it is so wrong to think of you like that." Another year goes by, and they're still trapped in the attic, but with a twist. The twins are now miniature versions of themselves because of the lack of fresh air and sunshine. Kathy and Chris, being the clever duo they are, start to plot their escape. One night, they finally make their move and head to the nearby lake. They're thinking that their mother, Corinne, must have forgotten about them since she hasn't visited in months. But then, out of nowhere, Corinne returns and announces she's a married woman. She went on a honeymoon in Europe with her new husband, Mr. Winslow. Kathy and Chris are not impressed. They realize Corinne never even told Mr. Winslow about them.
Huh?
The following morning, Olivia enters the attic with a tray of donuts, claiming they are a gift from the children's mother. Kathy, growing restless and eager to escape, confronts Olivia, but Chris remains steadfast in his belief in their mother. Why do I keep pronouncing Olivia as Olivia? Anyway, as Chris gazes out the window, Olivia scolds him, calling him boy, but Chris stands his ground, insisting that she address him by his name. Olivia's anger boils over and she lashes out, punishing Chris with a beating. Kathy tends to his wounds, confessing her fear of losing him. Chris confronts her with a kiss and a promise that nothing will harm him. When Olivia returns with her meal, Chris plays along, begging for forgiveness and pleading for salvation. Please. Olivia leaves, satisfied with the display of submission. But little does she know, Chris's performance was all an act to create an impression of the attic key in soap. Using his newfound knowledge, Chris carves a wooden copy of the key, ready for their escape. Before they leave, Chris and Kathy hatch a plan to steal money from their mother's room. During the theft thingy, Kathy discovers a book filled with illustrations of sexual acts, igniting her curiosity. Chris is on a mission to collect $1,000 so they can escape to freedom, but freedom doesn't come cheap, so Chris and Kathy decide to split up for their next money-making endeavor. Kathy stumbles upon a snoozing Mr. Winslow, and being the curious cat that she is, plants a kiss on his sleeping lips. Meanwhile, Chris goes to check out the electric fence and returns just in time to overhear Corinne and Mr. Winslow talking about a dream with a blonde-haired girl coming to kiss him. Chris, being the jealous type, confronts Kathy and demands answers. "Hey sister, why you do kiss la?" But she brushes it off with a kiss and assures Chris that it was all just a silly experiment. Next thing you know, they're getting down and dirty. Kathy suggests they head to Florida and pretend nothing ever happened, but Chris, being the hopeless romantic that he is, tells Kathy that he loves her and can never love anyone else the way he loves her. Oh, brother. Meanwhile, Carrie drops the bomb that Corey is feeling under the weather. Kathy, being the caring sister that she is, informs Olivia and Corinne about Corey's illness, but instead of showing concern, they just stand there like statues.
Huh?
Kathy has had enough and unleashes her fury on Corinne for not caring about her children. The children are shocked, but that doesn't stop Kathy from slapping Corinne for being a heartless mother. She demands that Corinne take Corey to the hospital or face the consequences. The next morning, Corinne drops another bomb and tells them that Corey has died of pneumonia and has already been buried. Chris and Kathy finally decide to take matters into their own hands and raiding Corinne's room. They are searching high and low for all the bling they can grab before they make their great escape. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more interesting, Chris overhears a conversation between the butler and the maid and finds out that Corinne's father has been 6 feet under for the last 7 months. And if that's not enough, the family's secret of Olivia poisoning the mice in the attic with the help of donuts comes to light. But there's more. When Chris sneaks into Olivia's room, she senses his presence and comes to take her key. But our hero Chris is no pushover. He restrains her long enough for Kathy and Carrie to make her run for it and escape to the attic. Olivia, being the drama queen that she is, go queen, chases after them with a vengeance. But Chris, being the smart cookie he is, turns off the lights and shuts the door, bang, causing Olivia to panic due to her claustrophobia. And then comes the big reveal. Olivia spills the beans and tells them that it was their dear old mom who poisoned them, not her. But our heroes, who have had enough of this twisted family drama, leave her in the dark and climb out of the window. They make a run for it, dodging the electric fence and running into the butler, who's completely stunned by the revelation. But don't worry, folks, because the butler, being the gentleman that he is, a hero, cut off the electric fence after realizing they are Corinne's children and sends our heroes on their way to freedom. So the kids finally made it to the train and are on their way to Florida, and Chris is all like, "Don't you worry, Kathy, our suffering is finally over." And Kathy is like, "Oh yeah, just wait until I get my hands on Corinne. She's gonna regret keeping us locked up in the attic all these years." And so, my friends, this was the story of Flowers in the Attic. Like the video, please. Subscribe, please. See you in the next time, please.